Welcome to the program with my man
HRH Prince Michael
and Best
and myself, the Oracle.
Cheers. So today we're here with the program. It's a brand new podcast, and we're gonna be talking about things affecting Black community in this modern era. So we're gonna talk about how money don't stay in the Black community a lot, and see other communities and how it affects their situations there. So Emmanuel, why do you think?
Well, you start with me.
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
Why do you think Black money doesn't stay in the Black community? What do you think we can improve on that? And is there any other issues? Because if you look at the Asian community, they seem to keep on improving a lot, but all we just see is just we do well in music and that's it. Art, but they just in general they're very good at whatever.
I think, there's different factors, a lot of factors as a matter of fact, but start with one, inconsistency in character as well. So I say that in a sense of even when the smallest business that's non-Black are starting something or whatever, they're doing something, there is always a way of doing it, whilst in the Black community there's never that. People think we get up and we start it, and it also stems from the fact that we don't get a lot of opportunities. So when someone does get an opportunity, they don't sit down properly to plan anything. Just say, yeah, we've got this place, let's jump into it. But it takes more than that. So it's
so there's basically what you're saying, a process,
yeah.
And we don't generally follow processes very well.
No.
And so I think that's definitely the case, and I think also we're generally usually in a rush to put things out without kind of just pacing it, ensuring that we're dotting the I's and crossing the T's. We usually just want to look. Our concepts might be, phenomenal.
Yeah.
However, because of our impatience, a lot of the time we just rush to finish, and then that means that it kind of flops when it does come to market, just because we haven't been following a process. I also think it comes down to faith in our peers, in our one another, and unfortunately the fact that still. More so than not, we don't want to see each other rise. You know what I'm saying? And it's a lot easier for us to kind of support someone that we don't know and that isn't kind of going to get a one-up on us. If you start out with someone who's your peer and then now they're kind of flying high, sometimes it's more so, it's very, very...
I think that comes with understanding. So the other day I was having a conversation, so it's what we need to understand is the gap is so huge, with the Western world and us, the gap is so huge. So even if you bridge the gap by yourself, that's where you have some Black people that say, oh, you're acting white because you've done everything to sort of bridge the gap. It's if you're not that person doesn't understand what's going on, there's a huge difference, you're right, but we have to push together, because if you get there alone, you're there alone.
Exactly.
Amongst a lot of other people, people that are not, you don't recognize people that say are not Black.
That's it. And absolutely.
So we need to educate ourselves in so that's why I tell all the guys, you have to do something to keep. Because if I have £10, I don't want to pay for everyone. So that means now I've lost £5. But if you have £10 as well, you pay for yourself, I pay for myself, then we can keep our £9 for a rainy day or something else.
Absolutely, I like
instead
that.
of me paying for everyone.
Absolutely.
So that's why I always say it comes with education. You have to do this. I'm not saying it because I'm having a dig at you or anything, but we all have to move forward. We have to bridge the gap. If you bridge it alone, it still doesn't make any difference at all. So.
I think that basically it's a few things. I think it's a case of faith in our one another's, in that we don't believe in it, for those who are around us, we don't trust in it as much. We don't trust in one another as much. We often try and rush the end result and the end product, and as a result it kind of flops before it's even got a chance to start. And I think, do you know what, I think it all comes down to community building. I think because we don't have that nucleus kind of setting where, you know, it's families and it's partners, everyone's on a one-man tip, do you understand? And so because of that, it's like, well, if, you know, it's changing now. I think there's definitely an uprising of conscious people within our communities. However, I still do think that it's not as the other communities. We've still got a long way to go. But I actually think that it starts in the community, and the fact of, you know, reaching up, reaching back, you know, once you've made it, reaching back, or, you know, as much as possible, you know, helping, looking back and helping the next man up, and it not being, no one wants to be on the top alone, basically, or at the top alone. So
Yeah.
I think there's that. But yeah, I think definitely why our money doesn't save in our community as much is just because of really lack of faith in our one another. What do you think?
Yeah. No, I was going to ask a question.
Yeah, I was going to say yeah, but with that as well, when you say the community stuff, it's people. So like me, I'm all for human flourishing. Like, so it's like if I see something is not right, like I'll say it. Like, 'cause it's like I have to, so that you, because it starts with you. So even when like the Christians say we go to church, like it's them. We are the church. So like the community, like you're the community. So it starts with you.
Absolutely.
And it's just being self-aware and just like self-aware. And it's like sometimes that's a scary word for people to think, what's that? But it's just like you accepting that I'm not good at this thing. Do I need it in order to reach where I'm going? Yes, I do. Okay, I'm gonna make 2 hours of my day to practice on that. I am very organized, because like I say, I'll make a joke, like even like the pin to take out the chip in my iPhone, I know where it is.
Yeah.
Like I'm so organized, like even when I'm not home, I can direct one of my friends to get something out of my bag for me. And it was something that I was never good at, but I'm like, I'm gonna need this where I'm going. So I'm gonna work on it, and it's like, so I think that's what we need to be. People, like, you need to tell your friends, like, be self-aware. What are you not good at? Work on that, like, so, because most of the time when we say as a community, we tend to think, oh, we come together as a community, then we change. No, when you change, I change, that then it makes it easier to push.
Yeah, I definitely agree with
forward
that. That
with that.
self-awareness, definitely, and creating processes.
Yeah.
I think key to obviously us being able to really expand is creating processes that work, but obviously processes in the first place, just so that, you know, we're delivering high-end whatever it is that we're doing.
Yeah.
You know, there's a process and we are adding value, do you understand? Because a lot of the time our products or whatever it is are great, but we haven't really thought out the whole process, and we haven't assessed the market to see if this is going to add value. So these are key things that, you know, when you look at it, you think, it's a lot easier for me to go here, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then because you're late, or, you know, this thing isn't working as it should, or, do you know what I'm saying? So I think we don't have faith in our one another's because we don't have processes.
Yeah.
And we're not doing due diligence, basically, enough.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. We're not doing due diligence.
So some other people were saying that systematic racism is also a factor, and also that we are disadvantaged. What do you guys think about? Because there was a statistic about a couple of months ago that said like young working class white families also are disadvantaged, but more black people are more in a better position as compared to them, but they live in their own country. So we can't keep on using that excuses to say, oh, you know what, we don't have that advantage, but they are also suffering. So do you think there's a factor to it that most people still use the whole systematic racism and systematic how the system works to their advantage, just so that they just don't move forward?
I'd like to think, there's always going to be people who do, but as I said before, I think there's definitely an uprising of consciousness. I think that there are people who, despite the facts, which there is, you know, systemic racism in systems, people are still uprising. You know what I'm saying? There's definitely been an education of a generation, I think. And what I would say now I've found is that more and more, I'm not talking of hundreds of thousands, but I think that people, as a result of knowing what the system is, are now a lot more confident to say, well, actually, I don't have to do things here because I do know that this is a system. So you have an uprising in terms of people repatriate into Africa, those that, would no way ever have thought about that before. So I think, yes, do people still use it? I think you're always going to get, those who, A, have experienced it, B, are looking for, have got a victim mentality, and, much more. But I think despite that, we're still definitely making movements. I think that, yeah, people will use it, and you're not going to help that, but I think the thing is people are still going around it.
When you say people will use it, do you think it's not there or it is there?
No, I think absolutely it's there.
Okay.
Absolutely it is there.
Yeah.
However, there are some people who know it's there and will use it as a crutch.
Right.
And there are others who will know it's there and use it to propel them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think that's very much what I've done at times. I know that this is what it is, but I'm still that's not gonna stop me, basically.
I agree with what you're saying. But it's more of also, I think, that we don't have, I would say, resources and the luxury to do things. So that's why we tend to have to deal with it in a way, because the thing is, someone will, if we had the resources to say, I finished, I'm not going to say I'm going to have to go before, because we know it's there. There's evidences that it's there. So instead of me saying, okay, me getting into the system, if like I said, if your parents are well off and they're paying for the mortgage, you can sit at home and be like, Mom, this is what I want to do. Take years, build yourself. Then after you can go into different, say they're saying that Jay-Z didn't release his album until he was 27. And you have kids these days, they come on, they do one good tune. I'm not saying that that's bad. And then they get signed, and then they realize, oh, I can't make a song with this person because there is a systematic.
Yeah.
So it's if you build yourself, now Jay-Z don't have to go and look for a feature. People are always, can I have a song with you? Can I have a song with you? So, but that's only if we have the luxury to be able to, because it takes, they say, 8 to 10 years to master a craft. Then your master is so money, you're attracting wealth. So it's you're no more chasing to reach a point where you realize, oh, there's systematical racism here. But because we don't have that luxury to sit at home or to be able to work on our craft. All these guys that came up, Elon Musk, and they slept in the office for 8 to 10 years, built themselves, then they came up, but they had the luxury to do it. He said he was sleeping in his office, meaning for that 10 years, I don't know who was paying for that rent for that 10 years. Someone was doing it, but we don't have that. Even when you get a job at 16, your mom is asking, can you start charging electricity? Because we don't have that luxury. So we can't really. So then in a way, like I said, we still have to go and face it. But like you were saying, we can't lean on it saying, oh, there's systematical racism, so I can't do anything. I believe you can always do something about it.
Yeah,
absolutely. So that's what you're saying, that you can have a way around it, but that's what I wanted to say about that part, is that we don't really have.
And I know, I agree, and I think, it's that you're always going to, how I see it is, but for me, I've got the mentality of, I know that these things exist, but it's not going to stop me. Do you understand? And I know it's not right that you should have to work harder, but I just feel I just build that into my process. Do you understand? What would take someone maybe of a different race, 4 months, I know it's going to take me 2 years. Do you understand? You've just got to have that mentality that, you've built it into your process, so you're not kind of thinking, oh, why haven't I done this, and it's 4 months, and now I'm not at that level, and you just know, and from once it's process. That's what it comes down to, and I think for me it's about showing up, never giving up, and keeping it moving. That's what I would say. Do you understand? With a lot of us, it's a case of you show up, and it's isn't this enough? Do you understand? I'm here, I've made a track. Why haven't they knocked my door? Do you know what I'm saying? So there is that systemic, you know, part of it. But
Yeah.
I just think it all comes down to process and your motivation. You know what I'm saying? That's what I think.
So like, so this is the topic where like it gets a bit controversial here.
Mm-hmm.
So where like most people, like most conscious people these days, have blamed most of the backward thinking of black people towards religion. Do you guys think religion is a factor why we are not moving forward? Because like there are some, like for example Rwanda, the president of Rwanda banned certain, like you have to have a degree in your field before you're a pastor, so he literally, or you are an imam or something like that, like he bans those kind of things. And now look at Rwanda is flowing, like the economy is
Great market.
booming. He didn't ban religion, but he just controlled it. But most people say, well, that means you're controlling the freedom of the country.
Yeah.
And you think like religion is a factor why most black communities are way behind in the developed world, like
Religion is impeding progress.
Yes, basically. Do you think that?
Most definitely, man. You go first, though.
It's an interesting subject in that. Last year, I actually came across a guy, and he was actually telling me of an incident that he had experienced with this woman who was, you know, very devoted, devout Christian, very much like life or death kind of, you know. And he got into a conversation with her. I think she was, you know, Nigerian or Ghanaian, and he was saying to her, like, don't get me wrong, like she was quoting verses and chapters and everything, Psalms, this, and he said, that's great, now tell me something about Nigeria, just say. And it was just like, you know what I'm saying? She couldn't, and he wasn't saying that that's bad.
Yeah.
He was just saying that you should, on a par, be able to tell me just as much about the place that you were born. You know what I'm saying? You should have facts to do with, you know, your origins. Don't get me wrong. You know, I think religion has done a lot. You know, obviously, you know that my daughter's Christian and what have you, and I think that it's definitely